In and out, I promise. Why are you fucking letting those fucking trip-offs in there?
New deputy stuff.
I thought we were past this.
Yeah, so did I.
Well, fuck this. I'm going back to the axe, but it's safer there.
I still remember seeing the original Grindhouse in theaters back in the summer of 2007. The experience was unlike any other, and one thing that left an indelible impact on me were the fake trailers. As a massive fan of slasher movies, Eli Roth's Thanksgiving really stood out. His intention of finally giving us horror fanatics a slasher set at Thanksgiving played like gangbusters. And there were rumors for years that Roth would expand it into a full-length feature film. Thankfully now, over 16 years later, this plan has finally come to fruition. Given that the original trailer was pure exploitation, I think it was smart of Roth to evolve the story to modern day. I'm not sure how well some of the elements of the trailer would have played to audiences today, but I'm grateful for the moments that were recreated here. The movie mostly follows Jess as she's being haunted by the tragedy that happened to her 1 year prior on Black Friday, when a mysterious killer shows up and starts killing off people who were there for the event. It's pretty stereotypical slasher fare. I was honestly shocked at how good the cast is here. You're not getting any schlocky acting. It's all decent performances. Even TikToker Addison Rae does a good job. But Thanksgiving fails to create any interesting characters with those actors. Heck, I couldn't tell you the name of anyone outside of Bobby, and that's because they repeat his name ad nauseum. And no one really has a distinct personality, as they all seem to just fall under the high school teen umbrella. I suppose this makes this slightly more realistic, as they don't follow strict archetypes, but it's still an odd choice, especially with the final girl being so weak. Really, the only person that stands out is the killer. John Carver works as a great villain, and I really hope that we're able to see more of him in the future. Like Ghostface, it doesn't always have to be the same person behind the mask, so there's a lot of potential there. And I really liked how he used various Thanksgiving utensils as murder weapons. It allowed for some creative kills, which is where the film excels. There's a particular death involving a garbage can that blew me away, and the practicality involved will have gorehounds fiending. One of the biggest issues I usually have with an Eli Roth movie is the dialogue. But with Jeff Rendell taking on scripting duties, and Roth helping with the story, this may just be the secret formula. The only characters with dumb jock dialogue were the dumb jocks, and the humor was decidedly higher brow than expected. Thankfully though, Roth really shows up in the director's chair. This is a movie that will need to be studied to catch all of the slasher references. As a big slasher fan myself, I can't deny that the pacing really falls flat at times. Hell, the kills are so spread out that I was genuinely shocked when we got to the 10-minute mark with no bloodshed. There are lulls that really drag the whole film down. The stalking sequences here are rife with tension though, and boy are there a lot of them. If there's one thing I think is always drastically missing from slashers these days, it's stalking sequences. Many films just end at 1 or 2, but this gives us our money's worth, and they're all effective. I love a good whodunit, and they really make sure to stick with the mystery for a long time here. But anyone who's watched a horror film before is going to pick out the killer fairly quickly. That's a little disappointing, as I think so much of the fun is trying to figure out who it is, but it's just so painfully obvious that none of the red herrings really do much to alter suspicion. Overall, I really enjoyed my time with Thanksgiving. The cast was shockingly good, and the kills were incredibly impressive. John Carver is a modern day killer that I hope really gets a chance to shine in more movies. And I hope this also serves as a guide for how to do practical effects and do them effectively, because these are genuinely some of the best gore gags of the 21st century, and they should be celebrated. Which is why I'm giving Thanksgiving an 8 out of 10.
Welcome back to Friday Night Flicks, everybody. How you doing? I miss you guys. Once again, it's been a long week to get to you. It did kind of go by fast, but I gotta say, between last stream and this one, I missed you guys more than ever. How's everyone doing? Thank you all for everyone who's already in the chat. And by the way, Brad, I'm gonna pin this comment right now. I'm gonna get to this, but I kind of agree. But with that being said, what's on the agenda for tonight? Well, if you couldn't tell from the delicious thumbnail and title of this live stream, we are going to be celebrating Thanksgiving here at Joe Blow tonight. We're going to be celebrating it by talking about Eli Roth's long-awaited and since almost forgotten about Thanksgiving, which came out in 2023. This movie's already a year old. Can you guys believe that? Gosh, man, I know we're all getting older. Time's relative. As we get older, it's only going to get more and more fast, but I gotta tell you, I cannot believe it has already been a full year since this movie came out. That is insane. I'm gonna switch the background music here to something a little more mellow. Kick off the Friday night all the way right. You know what I'm saying, everybody? So guys, today we're gonna be talking about Thanksgiving, the film. I'm gonna be kind of going over a recent revisit of the movie. Now, I saw it when it came out, and I hadn't seen it since. I watched it again for this live stream, and my thoughts on the film have changed since. I think this is a movie where the rewatch is really where you learn your true feelings on this movie, at least in my opinion. So we're going to get to that. But before we do, we'll pal around for a little bit. We might look at some movie news. I kind of have one thing that I saw that if we haven't talked about on the live stream, I'll just regret it. So we're going to talk about it. I think tonight's stream is a good place for that. And then we'll get into the main topic. It's going to be a pretty low-key stream, though, I think, you guys. I think the main thing is I'm going to try to flesh out the differences between the first time I saw Thanksgiving versus the second time, which was just a couple of nights ago. So we're gonna have fun with that. But as we do every once in a while, I have to talk and rant and get on my tangents, and you guys are going to have to listen to that in order for me to figure out how I feel. But we're going to come to a consensus tonight. It's going to happen. Looks like we got Conway. Hello, my friend. Hello, Mike Conway. Friend of the show, fellow Joe Blow. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Funny comment here from Carlos. Hello, Carlos. Thanks for being here. White meat, dark meat, all will be carved. Gory Tiger, hello, what up? Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Yeah, Brad, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, probably the greatest Thanksgiving movie. In my opinion, there's like two key Thanksgiving movies. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles has to be the first one. I don't. Do you count Uncle Buck as a Thanksgiving movie? I don't think it crosses Thanksgiving, but it just feels cozy like that. But also Dutch with Ed O'Neill and Ethan Embry. You haven't seen that? That's a Thanksgiving movie well worth your attention, your rewatch. Yes, I have seen Eli Roth's Knock Knock with Keanu Reeves. That movie is absolutely ridiculous. Johnny, happy holidays. Thank you all so much for the comments so far. Let's get into the stream. I will be getting your guys' comments as we go. Yeah, Cartoon Man, we're going to be talking about Eli Roth, that's for sure. But before we do, I want to talk about something that I saw that you guys probably have already heard about, but we're getting kind of updates. We actually just got a trailer for Lionsgate's Popeye horror movie. Let me do this. This is better. Yeah, here we go. So, so it's been kind of a recent trend. Hello, Vanderhoff 66 FU. Hello. Yeah, don't mind the Yankees. Don't mind the hat. Okay, it was a black hat. I'm wearing a black shirt. That was what I wanted to do. All right. So yeah, if you guys, this recent trend we've been seeing, we've all seen it, where public domain characters that are usually cute, cuddly, friendly, or all of the above are getting their own spins into absolute B-movie schlock. Now there's been ups and downs to this. There's been some that are better than others. There's definitely some that I'm excited about. Even. We'll talk about that. But it started, of course, with like Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey was kind of the big thing, right? And from that came the Poohniverse. If you guys haven't heard of that, it's a real thing. The creators of Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey and the upcoming Bambi, Peter Pan, Pinocchio horror movie. They're just, they're dumb slashers. The Blood and Honey movies were just low budget, kind of low effort slasher versions of Winnie the Pooh. Okay. But that kicked off this huge like resurgence in public domain characters being brought to the screen, but not in a way that you would expect. Rather than doing something par for the course for these characters, we're just getting schlocky slashers with these characters at the center of it as the villain. There's been Mickey's Mousetrap. I believe it's since been retitled to just Mousetrap. If you guys haven't seen these, I'll pull some of them up. Poohniverse. I can't believe I'm Googling this. Oh yeah. Oh man, this poster is fucked. Okay, let me show you guys this. I'm gonna pull up the poster for you, and then we'll get back to Popeye. So we've been seeing these kind of parody public domain, deals popping up left and right and left and right. And this Poohniverse poster, this is actually pretty interesting stuff here. It goes in, you can see there's Winnie, it looks like maybe the Mad Hatter, Pinocchio over here, a Piglet. I'm seeing what is that, Rumpelstiltskin maybe, or Humpty Dumpty perhaps. The Peter Rabbit. I mean, for God's sake, man, they got all kinds of schlock planned for us. Now this kicked off, I mean, The Grinch. There was this movie that came out last year also called The Mean One. I think it was last year. And that was a Grinch, like Cindy Lou Who horror movie. I didn't even see that one. I heard it was terrible. It probably was, but the whole point is we're seeing these, they're out there, they're popping up. Well, the latest one is, I can't believe it, is Popeye the Sailor Man. Now, there has been a Popeye movie already. And it was starring Robin Williams and the late but great Shelley Duvall, rest in peace. And that movie was on brand for Popeye. It was like a pirate adventure type deal, kind of very silly. Robin Williams at the center of it. But this is looking to be something else entirely, as you can tell from the thumbnail of this trailer. And I want to show the trailer, but I also don't want to get hit with copyright. So I might play a few clips here and there as we talk about this. But we have this poster. He is what he is. And it's just a big prosthetic Popeye the Slayer Man. We have stills from it. These will pass copyright. We'll do this instead. As you can see, the look of Popeye himself is completely fucking... This picture specifically, let me know if you guys are into this or not. Okay, I'm going to take some comments and leave that for y'all to look at for a little while we talk about it. I think personally, the proportions, I know Popeye's supposed to have these big, bulky forearms, and then he eats spinach and then the arm pops. But I mean, guys, this is disproportionate. Look at the size of that tiny fist. It literally looks like a football with like, I don't know, it looks like a football with like balls hanging off of it attached to a regular human-sized arm. Dude, what in the shit? What in the shit, Now, Brad Perkins says it looks better than the Mickey Mouse and Winnie the Pooh movies. Honestly, it's a low bar. I hope it's better. This will at least be produced, if I didn't mention already, this will be produced by Lionsgate, okay? Lionsgate, they don't make the greatest movies all the time, but they make real movies, and they have made some amazing movies. So I mean, they've been behind great movies before. So it's interesting because the production doesn't look like a Lionsgate production. It looks like maybe it got sold for distribution by Lionsgate, but maybe was made without that Lionsgate money. You know what I'm saying? Kirk Butterfield, by the way, I'm not going to pin your comment, but you don't have to be here, man. You know, you don't have to leave these types of comments. We have good people in the chat that don't need to be reading that. So if you don't want to be here, that's fine. But I'm not going to pin that comment, and there's no need to be rude. So I don't know. With Lionsgate behind it, it could indeed be something like, I mean, better than Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. What are we really saying by that? You know, like not much. Admittedly, not much. But I also think that this is oddly, if you guys haven't seen the trailer, you might want to watch it. It's oddly like, I don't know, not terrible. It looks like there's fun to be had. Now, Conway, I can see you said that Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 was at least entertaining. Or very entertaining. I don't know, man. I don't know if I would call it that. Popeye did, in fact, beat One Punch Man in a death match. Is that true? Is there like a celebrity death match of that? Because if so, I wouldn't mind seeing that. I kind of would like to see that. Now, my history with Popeye, I'm a little bit on the young side, so I'm a little too young to remember Popeye like as it was, you know, on and as it was a phenomenon. But I did kind of grow up around Popeye, I guess. The Popeye movie I've seen for sure, you know, big Robin Williams family I grew up in, and Shelley Duvall too, for that matter. But I casually enjoy the Popeye film, I guess, if you could even call it that. This seems to me though like I might actually check it out, and there's a chance for some reason I think I might kind of like it. I might kind of find something about this movie to enjoy. And maybe I sound crazy, but with these public domain slashers, at least in my opinion, there's usually not a lot to latch on to. But in this case, it doesn't look too bad. Oh, ITN made it. Thanks, Conway. Thank you. Yeah, Robin's Popeye was awful but entertaining. I think it's one of those movies where if you're nostalgic for it, you'll like it, and if you're not, you know, you probably will just pick out the absurdity of it all. Which, I mean, I don't even know if I would consider myself nostalgic about that movie. You know what I really remember is kind of a sizzle reel of that movie that would play before other movies that I enjoyed from Paramount. I think it was a Paramount film. Just a guy. I don't think Conor McGregor is going to be in any more movies for a long time. There's some breaking news on that. I don't think he's going to be in any movies for a while. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I agree with Shut Up James, which, by the way, shut up, James. I agree with Shut Up James. The original Popeye proportions are scary enough. You know, I think the new one, the problem that I have with the new one, it's obviously prosthetics, which I do appreciate. I think that trying to do this any other way would probably not work. But I think that if you're going to do prosthetics, you need to get somebody whose body complements the oblong fucking shape of Popeye, if that makes sense. You know, like, Popeye kind of looks, he's got like a beer gut. He kind of looks like an old cranky sailor man, but with these bulging forearms. You kind of need to get somebody that's got like not a sexy hot body. You need to get somebody that's a little schlubby with a gut and a little short, and then you put on those prosthetic forearms to kind of pop them out. You know, that's what I would do. Conway, you'll have to look that up on what happened to McGregor. I don't know the whole story, and I'm not going to talk about it here, but I just don't think he'll be in a movie for a while there, bud. Lundgren's Punisher. Interesting topic to bring up here. Yeah, I also won't forget the Dolph Lundgren Punisher, because until the Thomas Jane 2005 Punisher movie, the Dolph Lundgren Punisher was the only Punisher movie that we had. And I grew up in a comic book household. The Punisher movie, the Dolph Lundgren one, was like a regular occurrence for us. That and like the old Captain America one, if you guys remember that one, where he had a rubber suit. Whew. Also not good. All right, guys. I'm loving all these comments. Thank you all so much. Let's get into the main topic because we're also going to be doing a giveaway tonight. As you know, I think that this is kind of one of those movies that, as much as we're going to talk about tonight, the highs and lows of this movie, this is one that's worth owning on HD Blu-ray. So we decided we're going to be giving one of those away. There will be some rules to this one, some new rules, but we'll talk about that at the end of the stream when we get to it. Yeah, there's a lot they could do to avoid, risky shots with Popeye to hopefully make it look right. Now, I think like from the chest up, like I don't mind I like that they got the shape of his head to look all, cartoonish. But I think it's really going to depend on how it plays on the screen, because you can also only tell so much from still shots. You feel? But now we're going to talk about Eli Roth's Thanksgiving. Now, for copyright purposes, I'm not going to show too much footage at once, but it does help to have a little bit of B-roll, I think. Now, for those of you that have seen this movie, I definitely am curious to know your thoughts on it, and especially if you've seen it just the one time. Because for me, the first time I saw this movie, and let's start there. The first time I saw Eli Roth's Thanksgiving was it was last year. And it was exciting because, for those of you that don't know, and I don't want to get too much into this, but for those of you that don't know, Grindhouse was made originally as a fake movie trailer 17-ish, 20 years ago for Grindhouse, which was an event with Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino, kind of a double feature. And in betwixt the films, which were, it was Death Proof and what was the other one? Anyway, in betwixt the films, they would show these fake movie trailers. And one of the big ones, one of the more notable ones that kind of, received buzz following that event was this trailer for a fake slasher called Thanksgiving, which basically showed a killer dressed up as like a pilgrim who was committing heinous and absolutely brutal acts in this trailer on the townsfolk, during the time of Halloween. Now that really meant that I think that fake trailer held so much weight in the horror community that when you see something like that and there's this kind of lore that there might be a script in the works for a feature-length version of it. Naturally, as a fan of something like that, you're left with nothing to do but wonder. You know what I mean? You're left with nothing to do but imagine what could that movie look like, because the trailer, if you guys haven't seen the trailer, it's gritty. It's very it looks like a Friday the 13th 1980s slasher film in that trailer. Well, finally, almost 2 decades later, we get an announcement. They're making the movie. They're doing Thanksgiving, Eli Roth's fully realized version based on that trailer. And the only thing that I was hesitant about was, can you make that movie? Because the trailer, that looks like a movie that you probably couldn't make a full feature out of and just get away with an R rating. It looked like, but if you make a feature-length version of that trailer, that's going into NC-17 territory. That's going somewhere else. It just seemed a little bit risky. And then, details about the movie come out and casting, you hear Patrick Dempsey's in it. And for slasher fans, you hear that and you're like, well, he was in Scream. He would play a great cop in this slasher film. That's kind of reminiscent of classic slasher movies. So the casting looks good. You got Louis Litt from Suits in there and from Hostel, obviously. Probably how he knows Eli Roth. And so things were looking okay. It looked like okay. They're gonna make this movie, and at the very least they're trying to keep it in the vein of a classic slasher film. And then the trailer came out, and then you see, you have these young characters. You got, one of the main characters. I can't remember her name. Addison Rae she's a TikTok celebrity. New faces, new fresh faces. It basically looked like the makings of like a Scream, like one of the modern Scream movies. And the trailer was good. The trailer showed a lot of shots that were recreated from the original fake mock trailer all those years ago, and that got people hyped. And that's where this movie ignited something in the horror community that I think took it a very long way this past year since it came out. And the reason I think that is we had this legend of this horror movie that could have existed because we had this fake trailer to remember it by, you know? And with that, as I mentioned, comes this kind of legendary status of what could it be if it was a movie. Then you see the trailer and you see many of the same sequences just polished up, recreated, and shot very well in a modern trailer of what is going to be the feature film, and your brain is left going, oh my god, they're doing it. They're doing whatever it is that I always imagined this to be. That set something off that I think made it kind of hard for this movie to live up to now, and here's why. The movie gave me what I fully imagined in my head it would be, but here's the problem with that. I didn't imagine what the full movie. I didn't imagine a fully fleshed out movie in my head. I didn't have all the answers figured out in my head. I didn't have character arcs in my head when I imagined what the movie could be. I imagined it would be bloody. I imagined it would have interesting motive. I imagined it would have a twist, whatever. But what I didn't do was all the work. I didn't write the fucking movie, you know? So when I saw the movie, I went, yeah, you know what? It did check all of the things that I thought I was going to get. It's incredibly bloody. We'll talk more about that. It's probably the funnest part of the conversation. It does have that, you know, classic slasher plot. It does have kind of the, you know, I wouldn't say interesting characters, but it does have interesting motive for some of them. It does set up red herrings for some of them, which is fun. It's just things you can have fun with. But once you get past that checklist, you go, well, it takes more than that to make a movie that's going to last. And at the time, I didn't really care so much about that. I just was kind of excited that it was not a disaster. And I was happy that there was this, you know, kind of win for horror fans. But then I watched it a couple of days ago, y'all. And I still like it. I do still like the movie. I'm trying to think about how to structure this. I still like the movie, but I realized that it's kind of the rose-tinted glasses were off. That's the best way to put it. Like, I watched it this time not as a movie that I had been anticipating for years, but as a movie that I want to see in a vacuum. Do I like this? And that was an interesting study. So we'll talk about that. But let me take some comments first. I actually agree here with the Major Blazer. It looked too clean, should have been shot on film. The one thing, yeah, and I don't know. It would have been way too expensive to shoot this movie on film. Probably not worth it with the film's budget to shoot on film. And I think it's very easy for us as movie fans and critics to say like, oh, this would have looked better on film. The fact of the matter is it's so expensive to do that sometimes it's just not a viable option. But I do agree that the film looked a little too polished for me. I think if you can't have it done like the trailer where it's shot on, you know, on gritty film, like you know, 16 millimeter or something, 8 millimeter, it looked nasty before. But now it looks a little too polished. And I think that if nothing else, it should have maybe like the compositions were good, but maybe they could have been a little messier. Maybe, you know, the camera work didn't have to be so smooth. Some of those transitions didn't have to be so flashy. Because even though I think on a technical level, the movie and the direction of the movie is very good, it does kind of betray part of what we loved about the mock trailer, which was that, you know, sleepaway camp quality film stock. You know, that's how I would put it. Oh yeah, man. Characters were left alive for sequels, including the killer himself. Which, by the way, we're gonna be talking spoilers. This movie came out a year ago, and it's Thanksgiving. So if you don't want to get spoiled on this movie, put it on in the background so you can still watch the stream. Okay. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. Shut Up James says, I wanted a grindhouse kind of film, but I think it was smart for them to make more money from a marketing perspective because younger people wanted to see this. Yeah, that's probably exactly what it was, right? Because to make it, I don't know, to make it what we would have wanted, a grindhouse film, that would have appealed to the specific audience for grindhouse, you know, the Sin City lovers out there, you know, like me. The Machete lovers, you know, but I don't know, the polished look, honestly, it probably did lead to more money. I think ultimately was a detriment to what this film was trying to do for the fans of the mock trailer. I think as a movie, as a production, it probably did the right thing though by updating that. Yeah, apparently there's a sequel coming. Now, obviously, by the end of this movie, it's clear that there's going to be a sequel, but we're not going to talk about the end just yet, even though we are going to be spoiling everything. I want to get kind of more into the I don't know, into the movie before we talk about the ending. And Mathiasen, I'm always messing up people's names. I apologize for that. I'm assuming you're talking about my deconstruct on Freddy's Dead, and I'm assuming you're saying I didn't watch it because you did not like my opinion on it. And I'm sorry about that. But I don't like that movie. And as a Freddy fan, which I am, I still don't like it. So, all right, yeah, sequel's coming next year. Now, listen, will I watch a sequel of this movie? Of course, I'm gonna watch a sequel. If nothing else, because the kills in this first movie were so creative and nasty that it does make me wonder if there's a second movie, how are they gonna up that one? You know, and I believe that if Eli Roth is involved, he'll at the very least try to give us something gnarly, something really gross. I think with Terrifier 3 doing so well this year, I think it's the potential for Thanksgiving 2 to be really, really fucked. I think could happen. Absolutely. I wonder if Tim Dillon liked it more than Joker 2. I don't know. Apparently everybody would prefer Thanksgiving over Joker 2, but I have not taken the plunge into Joker 2 territory, and I'm not going to go there tonight. That's for sure. So yeah, let's get into the good stuff, guys. Let's talk about the kills in this movie, okay? Because to me, a big chunk of the fun to be had with this movie is the incredible and disturbing display of blood and guts and carnage and all the fucked up stuff that we love, you know? Do I think he'll give us an unrated sequel? I don't know. Maybe if it goes straight to streaming, but I don't think we'll get an unrated one if it's theatrical, you know? I don't know. I don't know if there's like money in it. For us, maybe, but yeah. But so this movie's kills were just, I mean, they were gruesome. Now, of course, this is fresh off of, I saw Terrifier 3 like last month, right? So that's a whole nother level of fucked up. But this movie, I believe, is one of the more creative slasher killings, or this movie has more creative kills than many of the slashers that we've seen in recent history. Like in this movie, it's undeniable to me, the kills in this movie are probably more fun than they were in like Scream 6. Even though Scream 6 was also brutal and also fun, the kills in Thanksgiving were a little bit more mean and a little bit more, like I said, creative. They had to incorporate some Thanksgiving shit into that, you know? Now, to me, I don't know about you guys. I don't have like a specific kill in this movie that is my favorite, but the one that I found the most, like the one that made me squirm the most, was probably when he put that woman in the oven. That has to be that one, or obviously the corn on the cob thing in the ears. That kind of stuff, man. Oh. It made me squirm, and it shows you kind of enough of it to really feel like you're seeing it, you know? It doesn't go all the way there sometimes, thank God, because honestly, some of this stuff I don't want to see any more than I already did. But if you love that stuff, man, that's one thing that this movie I think really did right. And honestly, if you're making a slasher, I could see that needing to be a priority for the crew making the film. Is like, you know, yes, character development is important to a story. Yes, plot is important to a story. Rules important to a slasher. Motive, all that stuff. But then also, you know, there had to be specific meetings where they sit down and go, what is some gnarly Thanksgiving shit we could do to people in this movie? What are some typical Thanksgiving things that we can incorporate into a homicide for this movie? And that's fun. That is very fun. It's very cool when you see, like, for example, before he puts old girl in the oven, John Carver, the killer of the piece, before he puts her in the oven, he salts her, he seasons her, he like bastes, you know, he butters her up like a turkey, and then cooks her in an oven. And I just think Yes. When you make a slasher movie, that's the level of creativity that I'm talking about, you know? Powder Keg, Powder Keg, I don't know, man. I know exactly. You're talking about the yoga kill from In a Violent Nature. If you guys haven't seen In a Violent Nature, probably one of the more divisive horror movies this year, I think. I didn't care for the movie. I think in the theater experience was unique enough to where it was memorable. It was all right. It was, you know, it wasn't like unpleasant. I didn't hate it. But like reflecting on the movie that I had just watched when I walked out of it, I did feel like the concept of it was better than the execution of it, and it didn't quite work. But I will say the yoga kill in that movie, definitely one of the most fucked up things I've ever seen, ever. It's terrible. It's horribly scary and very gross and awesome. Obviously, very awesome. Yeah. There's little things about this movie that I think are fun, like like John Carver, or the cop who's the killer, Patrick Dempsey, is a cook. You know, things like that are fun. I also think that Patrick Dempsey, it's funny because in Tyler's review that we watched before the show, as kind of the pre-show, he mentioned that, you know, for slasher fans, it's easy and predictable to pick out who the killer is in the movie. And again, spoilers, you know, you guys, we're going to be talking spoilers. But I did find it funny because I actually was, the first time I saw this movie, I was a little bit surprised. Not totally surprised. I mean, it made perfect sense. You know, once you get it in your head that he could be the killer, you start looking for all the ways that, you know, that it's obvious. But I was genuinely surprised the first time I saw the film, because I knew, let me tell you what I knew. I knew it wasn't going to be, I can't remember these kids' fucking names, but I knew it wasn't going to be like the new incel boyfriend, because they spent the whole movie trying to make us think it was him, right? Which obviously, if you've seen a slasher, if they're trying to make you think it's person A, it's not them. It's probably person B instead. And so, you know, there's little tropey things like that. But you know, the surprise of, I mean, you know, I would put it, honestly, I would put it as like it's perfectly generic. It's not super, you know, it's not dead in the water. It's been beat to death. It's obvious, but it's also not a surprise. Like, holy shit, I was not expecting that. But the problem also with this movie is that they kind of set it up to where you suspect everybody at some point. And I think that is a little less fun on rewatching. So, certain movies like Clue is a whodunit movie where you're trying to ultimately figure out who the killer is, and it's fun, and you can rewatch it a bunch of times and it's still fun, because the way that they do it, they kind of show you, here's why everybody could be the killer, here's why everybody might want to be the killer, here's how everybody could have had the opportunity to do it, but who did it. This movie tries to do that, where it makes you suspect everybody, but it doesn't give everybody enough fleshing out to make you care. So like at some point you suspect every single one of these kids, but you never get to know any of these kids. So other than like a few people that get a setup for why they would go on a killing spree, you might suspect them because the movie's trying to make you, but then you go, but why would they want to kill this person? Why would they want to kill the waitress at the diner? Why would they, you know? And ultimately, when you go back to rewatch it, it doesn't hold up in that regard as far as the twist and the motive, because what you start noticing is not only is it obviously this, you know, this character, Patrick Dempsey, can't remember anybody's fucking name in these movies, in this movie, but not only do you realize it's obviously him, you then start to realize it's obviously nobody else. And that kind of sucks, because even if you're like, okay, it's obviously the cop, but it could obviously be this person, it could also be this person, that can be interesting. If you do it right and you don't overbake it on one person and you don't over suspect one person, that's one thing. But when you try to do it where everybody might be guilty, everybody looks like they have a finger in that sugar bowl, you know what I'm saying? And then you find out who it is, and then you look back at the evidence and you go, oh yeah, there's no reason why the kid who got his arm broken, you know, the ex-boyfriend, there's no reason he would want to kill the waitress at the diner just because she was there. She wasn't the one that broke his arm. You know what I mean? If anything, he would have wanted to kill his friends for dragging his ass there. So that's part of it for me. Still think the kills are rad. I think the movie's missing elements, though. They stand out more on the rewatch because you'll still get all the mileage you get out of the entertainment of the movie, but then you miss out on like the stuff that you notice should be there. Like, I wish there was a little more tension, or like, I wish there was just more time spent with these kids to get to know the dynamic, to get to know the crew. Because the other thing, and I fucking hate when slasher movies do this, and Eli, if you're watching this by any chance, no offense, but I fucking hate when slasher movies do this, where they give you characters that are supposed to be a friend group, but it all seems like independently they fucking hate each other. I hate when movies do that. I get that in every friend group, there's like certain friends that butt heads, or maybe like that would never hang out together, but they will when it's all a group. I get that. That is realistic. But in this movie and in certain other, like, especially slashers, but just movies in general, there are so many times when you see these characters that are supposed to be the survivors, the core four, like you would call them in Scream, but they all seem like they hate each other. They don't want to be friends. They don't love, respect, care about each other. What good is that? Why have them be a friend group then? Or is it just cannon fodder to go, let's make a bunch of people that we all don't like and don't like each other so that we can dispose of them in ridiculously creative ways and not feel bad about it? Either way, it doesn't work. Either way, you run the risk of losing the audience because they have nobody to feel sad about when they die. They just go, oh yeah, that lady was a bitch because the only scene I saw her in, she like punched a dude in the face, or like, oh yeah, she was rude to this other guy and this guy was an asshole. And so if every character in the movie is an asshole, you don't feel bad when any of them get what's coming to them. And that is a little unsatisfying to me. Yeah. Sorry guys, I'm catching up on some of your comments here. I have never seen. So Anthony Hoffman says Blood Rage is the best Thanksgiving movie. I've never even heard of Blood Rage. Let's look that up. What is that? Do you guys know what that is? Is it the best Thanksgiving movie or the best Thanksgiving horror movie? Hoffman, let me know. Let me know. Blood Rage movie. 1987. I'm surprised I haven't heard of it. 87 is like definitely like a year of movies that I'm familiar with. All right, let's look at the IMDb together, folk. Let's see. Anthony Hoffman. Now, again, Anthony, I want to know, is this your favorite Thanksgiving movie straight up, or is it just your favorite Thanksgiving slasher, Thanksgiving horror? It's different. It's different. There we go. Okay, so we're on the IMDb. This is Blood Rage. I'm curious to know. Oh, yeah, look, some of you, Vanderhoff says it's the best. Okay, so it was on The Last Drive-In or something. Joe Bob covered it. Okay, I'll have to check that out. If it was on The Last Drive-In, I'll definitely watch that episode. Let's see. A boy kills a man and accuses his twin brother of the murder, and the innocent brother ends up institutionalized while his psychotic twin goes free. 10 years later, the innocent twin escapes, which triggers his brother into killing again. That sounds amazing. That's a sick plot. That's kind of a twist on like a Cain and Abel type joint. Who's in this? We have Louise Lasser, Mark Soper, Julie Gordon, let's see, Marianne Cantner, Douglas Weisner. I don't think I know very many of these people, if any of them. I feel like I know Mark Soper, who plays Todd. What a good name, Todd. We got any Todds in here tonight? Any Todds bopping with us on the stream? Let me know and I'll shout you out. Ooh, Brad, bold claim 87 is the best year in movie history. Maybe. 84 was good. Oh wow, so many fans of Blood Rage in here. And apparently Ed French did the special effects and makeup for Sleepaway Camp did Blood Rage. Oh, that's fun. I actually think Sleepaway Camp, for as schlocky bullshit as that movie is, I think that movie is hella fun. Hella fun. What the stills from this movie look like? Blood Rage. I'm curious. I saw John Fallon, friend of the show, producer, personal friend, Also very talented man. I saw that he is in here tonight. John, have you seen Blood Rage? This seems like a movie that you would watch. Yeah, I agree with you, by the way, on this comment, John. It was okay. The movie was not offensively bad. I liked the movie just fine, but it was missing elements, and I wish it was more like the fake trailer for sure. So this is okay. So Brad's 1987 breakdown. This is fun. Lethal Weapon, Predator, Full Metal Jacket, RoboCop, Evil Dead 2, Raising Arizona. How the fuck do I argue with that? You know, when did Gremlins come out? Was that 1987? Oh, that was 84. That's why I love 84. 84 was Gremlins and Ghostbusters. Think about that. Think about that, Brad. You know, was 84 better? Maybe. All right, let's get back to Blood Rage. You know what I'm saying? That looks pretty violent, pretty gruesome. We got a lady playing tennis. She definitely looks for. I know Louise Lasser from something. I'll let you guys rage at me in the comments with all the movies she's been in, but I know that face. Okay, we are done here. That's well, if it's on IMDb, I guess then it's just worthy of the internet. Oh, The Lost Boys? Was it? Yeah, that was also 87. Good Lord, man. 87 might have been the year. All right, so Blood Rage, I'll check it out. I think those still images sold me. I'll check it out, but let's get back to Thanksgiving. If that's a Thanksgiving themed horror movie, Blood Rage, I have to watch it probably this year because being that Thanksgiving is what, next week, I guess. Sheesh. I think there's a shocking gap in Thanksgiving movies to watch, like truly good ones. You got Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I guess this one would fall into that category for me. You got Dutch. You got, I don't know. There's probably like a Meet the Parents movie or something that takes place, you know, at Thanksgiving. I'm not sure, but there's not that many great ones. And for slashers, you would think this would be a much more explored category. Now it probably is. There's probably a ton of Thanksgiving B movies that I've not seen. Admittedly, I don't necessarily go looking for like quality Thanksgiving fare around this time of year, but I think that there should be more mainstream Thanksgiving stuff, you know. And I also kind of think, on the topic of this movie, this is kind of a great example. The iconography of Thanksgiving does lend itself to some scary shit, you know, like Pilgrims, the John Carver mask, the persona of John Carver, that was scary. Oh my gosh, Brad, you're so right. Grumpy Old Men, one of my favorite. And that counts because that's Thanksgiving and Christmas. That movie takes place on, like, it starts before Thanksgiving it starts before Halloween and goes through Christmas. So that counts. That's a multi-holiday movie. And I love Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, but especially together. Oh, this is cool. Shut Up James did a movie reaction to Blood Rage this year and Thanksgiving last year. I'm curious to know your thoughts then. More of your thoughts. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll check it out. Yeah, we do need more. We just need more mainstream stuff. And I'm not talking just Thanksgiving sequels. I do believe there's going to be another one, you know, next Thanksgiving or the Thanksgiving after. It'll happen. And it'll, you know, it could be good. It could be even better. You know, there's room to improve. So hopefully it goes the route of improvement. But I want more. Yeah, I want more Thanksgiving fare. It doesn't have to be horror. I prefer usually a horror movie, but it could be anything. But Thanksgiving's it's a special time. It's a time that most, you know, almost all American families celebrate, you know. Even people, you know, I mean, like, it's kind of one of those, there's frustrations that come with it. It's a relatable time. It's a cozy time. It's a time when we're all sitting around watching movies anyway. So to set a movie around that time, smart, if you ask me. Whoa, cool idea here too from the Major Blazer. New Year's Eve and 4th of July, so fireworks can cover up the sound of screams. That's a sick idea. If you guys know any movies that have done that, it's like specifically used holiday festivities to cover the sounds of horror, that's a very cool thing. I like that. Where's the Easter horror? Well, I think the Peter Rabbit horror movie will probably have you covered from the Poonaverse. They're probably doing one of those. I saw a rabbit somewhere in there. So I know it's coming. I know it's coming. All right. So yeah, so let me finish up. Let me kind of wrap up my thoughts on Thanksgiving. I want to discuss the ending. Okay. The movie builds up this idea that there's this, you know, if you haven't seen it, I guess, the movie establishes there's this kind of Walmart in town, okay? In like this Minnesota town. And the owner of it has this blowout Black Friday sale. As we all remember before the dark ages of the pandemic, Black Friday, depending on where you live, I've lived in some bigger cities, and I've lived in some small towns that have seen a huge Black Friday turnout, but sometimes you'd go to like a Kohl's or a Walmart or an Old Navy around midnight and you see that there's already a mob of people outside the door on Black Friday. So that's the setup of this movie. But obviously it turns south. It turns into a trampling fest. There's Patrick Dempsey's woman, Amanda, the kind of the love affair he's having. She gets her scalp ripped off by a cart. A guy gets his neck chopped by some broken glass and still dies on the hill of trying to get that waffle iron. You know, the movie starts off fucking awesome, to be honest with you. To start off with a Black Friday gone wrong, very good, and I loved it. And then the movie goes, it does its classic thing. 1 year later, that's when the killing started. It's just like I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's I Know What You Did Last Thanksgiving. Dude, they should have called this movie I Know What You Did Last Thanksgiving. That would have been more apt, you know? That would have been more apt. Tanya the Kooky Wildflower, I love this comment. Can't wait for the Arbor Day fair. Yeah, me too. Arbor Day, there's going to be a victory over Japan Day, probably. You know, it'd be really horrifying as a Columbus Day one, you know? But, yeah, so the movie builds up. It does its whole 1 year later. And you check back in with the crew, these you know, probably 17, 18-year-old kids. And you have asshole jock number 1. Then you have asshole jock number 2. Then you have asshole incel. And then you have asshole jock number 3. Then you got like generic brat 1, generic brat 2, and then the cool main character who's too cool for all that, you know? Classic. You don't spend any time with these kids, but you quickly learn that they're all, because they were all at the Black Friday event, they're all on the list. They're being kind of tormented by an Instagram user under the name of John Carver, who is basically the pilgrim that the killer kind of models himself on. It's the mask he wears. And he's got this Instagram account, and he's tagging them in these horrific photos and cryptic photos and teasing them, stalking them, and then starts picking off people that were involved in the Black Friday massacre, right? So immediately we start going, okay, who's doing it? The setup is so simple. Huge massacre happens. A year later, whoever survived, whoever was not victimized is being victimized now. Then you start to go, okay, who did it? Now, the first time you see the movie, you think, okay, you got the guy, Bobby, whose arm gets broken during the mob. That could be, I agree, it was one of the best openings. It was one of the best openings to a slasher in a long time, to be honest. Jeremy, I agree. Yeah, so, you know, you start to think, okay, maybe it's this guy, Bobby's, you know, he's a baseball pitcher, got a scholarship. He gets his arm broken, so he's not pitching anymore. And then the movie goes, but he disappeared after last Thanksgiving, and I haven't talked to him since. So now we know it's not him, because the movie's going, it might be him. Well, we know it's not him now. Then it does the same thing with the asshole incel boyfriend. The whole fucking movie's hammering you over the head going, you think it's him? He's got motive. He likes this girl, but she likes this guy, and he wants her to love him, and he's close, but he can't get there, and blah, blah, blah. And he's only gotten to second base, and his friends are all assholes. And they make you think, oh, it's definitely this kid, which tells you it's not that kid. So the second time you watch the movie, you're just watching the dominoes fall, and you're going, how did they think? What did they think we would think, you know? Yeah, too short to be a good pitcher. I don't know if that's true. There's some short pitchers out there. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I'm tall, so maybe I just don't know shit, you know? Maybe I'm not tall, maybe I'm average height. Doesn't really matter, I guess. So yeah, so Thanksgiving, they kind of hammer these red herrings over the head. They hammer you over the head with the red herrings, which makes you kind of, you know, stop suspecting the people they want you to suspect. And then when you pick it apart anyway, it's all thinly veiled for the most part. The ultimate motive is Patrick Dempsey plays a cop who was sleeping around with a married woman, and she dies in the Black Friday event brutally. Turns out this was a layer that did make it a little more sad. It turns out she was pregnant with his child when she died. So he lost not only his girlfriend, but also his baby. And as a result, went on one hell of a Thanksgiving killing spree, a cooking spree, if you will. As we know, he knows his way around an oven. They say that in the movie, which I actually like. Yeah, so, you know, it's very thinly veiled. Nobody else's motives would make sense. One kid gets his arm broken. It's no need for him to kill a bunch of people that were completely uninvolved in that. It's not going to be either of the girls, because one of them, like, her dad owns the store, and then the other one, her dad was like the manager of the store. And they all lost, you know, both of their moms end up dying. So it wasn't going to be them. It wasn't going to be football jock number 3, because why would it be? Nothing happened to that guy. The other guy live streamed it while it was happening, so it wouldn't be him because he wasn't victimized. So all I'm saying is they kind of leave you going, maybe it's the guy who aggressively and angrily shot a gun at that event that is now the one killing people. It's probably not the 100-pound girl who, you know, was unaffected by all of this. So they just kind of they set it up. It's interesting. The motive is interesting, I guess. It's fine. It's like good enough. But they almost leave you disappointed because they kind of make you think it's going to be something better, and then it's just not. Yeah, it's a cooking spree. Oh yeah, that's what I called it. I was laughing as if you said that, James, and then I realized that I said that. How funny is that? Yeah, I don't know the guy that was also in Just Friends who's like, you got $5 I could like have, whatever that guy's name is. Oh, thank you guys so much for the comments, by the way. I appreciate all of that. Thank you. How about a giveaway? You guys want to do a Thanksgiving giveaway? Now, like I said, despite what I've said about this movie and how it might be a little bit of a letdown on the rewatch, it is pretty good, but it is definitely a lot of fun. And these kills in Ultra HD are worth it, okay? So you're going to want that. And all you have to do to win is answer this question. Which 2 other mock trailers from Grindhouse were later made into feature films? You got to name both of them. If you can name the first person in my chat to name both movies, will be the recipient of the coveted Thanksgiving on Blu-ray. Oh, we're excited. We're excited, boys and girls. Let's do this. Which other 2 mock trailers were made into feature films from Grindhouse? Hey, Tanya the Kooky Wildflower, first time winner, first time. The answer is Hobo with a Shotgun and Machete. So I will accept this, but it's not Hobo with a gun, Tanya. It's Hobo with a shotgun. Okay. Brad, you were close, and Brock, you were also close. I apologize to you guys, but Tanya, you are the winner. You are the winner. So here's what I'm going to have you do. By the way, guys, if you have won a giveaway in the past, for the next few at least, we're gonna disqualify you from winning again, just so that we're not sending, you know, movies to the same 5 people every month. Yeah, it just doesn't seem fair. Yeah, some of you guys are still guessing. Thank you guys for still participating. So Tanya, all you have to do, I don't recognize your handle, so I don't know if you've been on a stream before or if you've commented before. So in case you haven't, all you have to do to claim your prize is send us an email. You can email arrow@joeblow.com. I'll leave that on screen for a little while. I'll get beneath it so you guys can still see me. Send your shipping details to arrow@joeblow.com. You're going to want to put your full name, the preferred address or PO box that you want us to send it to, and then I think that's everything. So yeah, let us know, and John Fallon, producer of the show, will send out your reward for winning today's giveaway. And thank you for participating. You guys, I had fun. I mostly am just looking forward to it being Thanksgiving. You know, I'm looking forward to Cyber Monday. I kind of want to buy a new office chair. That's something exciting. Oh, for those of you that care, regulars of the show, for Chris Bumbre, I did wear a second gold chain tonight. So for those of you, I know some of you like to keep tabs on that stuff. You can put me down for 2 gold chains this evening because I knew I'd be hanging out with y'all. Okay. In the meantime, final thoughts on Thanksgiving. First time I saw it, I would have given it a 7 out of 10. I'd say this time I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. It's still fun. It's still worth watching. The moments that are good are really good, but some of the stuff that didn't work for me the first time around works even less the second time around. And that's just being absolutely real with y'all. Okay. So everybody, thank you again for joining tonight's stream. I'm going to let you guys get back to your Friday. Go see Gladiator. Go see Wicked. Let me know what you think. Kier 2 Chains Gomes. I've been here, and I'm out for this Friday, but I will catch you guys next week. And as usual, I love you all. Good night, everyone. Peace out. All right, good night, everybody. For real. Bye.